One of the major themes of menopause is cortisol spikes, right? You've probably, if your social media feed looks like mine, you scroll through Instagram and everything is shouting cortisol in our face. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what's actually happening. Why is cortisol such a buzzword in menopause? And most importantly, what to do about it. If you saw my last video where we talked about symptom grouping in menopause, the first thing that we have every woman we do work with is go through what we call a symptom checklist. Because the reality is that menopause is not just hot flashes. There are hundreds of symptoms. And if we tried to tackle them one at a time, we would be so overwhelmed that we wouldn't even start. What we can do when we go through the symptom checklist is we can take 100 different symptoms and we can narrow them down into what I call the big three. The big three are cortisol, which we're talking about today, inflammation, which, spoiler alert, I'm going to be back in your inbox tomorrow talking about inflammation, and gut health. And by tackling those big three, not only can we tackle hundreds of symptoms, but these big three bleed together, meaning as you get your cortisol in check, your gut health is going to steady out as well. They all go together because we're human beings. We can't compartmentalize. So for the purposes of today diving into cortisol, let's talk about what's actually happening in our body and most importantly, how we can get our cortisol in check. One of the big themes of menopause is that our estrogen naturally drops. It's supposed to. This is how we were designed. It's biology 101. Now, one of estrogen's main roles in the body is cortisol control. So what happens, again, biologically, is as our estrogen drops in menopause, our cortisol naturally rises. We can't help that. That is part of how we were designed. What we can do, however, is start to take a look at our daily life and see, okay, what can I be doing to help control my cortisol? Because here's the problem. In our 20s, 30s, maybe even early 40s, we could get away with a lot. We had a body where our estrogen was helping to manage that cortisol. So we could overexercise. We could undereat. We could, as women love to do, right? We could put everyone else before us and we could handle all that stress. We could handle all that cortisol. In menopause, however, we're not living in the same body we used to. We are living in a body with naturally elevated cortisol. So the name of the game becomes, what can I do in my daily life to help get my cortisol under control? Because the reality is our body can't handle the stuff it used to. Over-exercising, under-eating, not taking care of ourselves. Your body's going to push back because it doesn't have the capacity to handle that level of cortisol anymore. So every woman we work with, as I mentioned, we always start with that checklist because I want to see where do we need to narrow in on first. We're going to tackle all these. We're going to tackle cortisol. We're going to tackle gut health. We're going to tackle inflammation. But I want to see what are your personal particular symptoms so we know where to narrow in first. For the purposes of today where we're talking about cortisol, if we see that your heavy hitter symptoms fall under the category of cortisol, this is where we get to work. So right now I'm going to share my screen with you and I'm going to show you one of the exercises we take our members through. What you'll see is that this is never about major life overhauls. And this is one of the things I hate about the nutrition industry is that they want to make you believe you're on your diet or off your diet. You're being super clean or you've ruined it when we start again. If we try to do a major life overhaul, humans are pleasure-seeking creatures. It's never going to last. So I'm introducing that thought process here because when I show you this cortisol list that we go through, it is never all or nothing. It is not about eliminate all of this from your life, add in all of this. What we do with our members, again, this is why it's so personalized, so one-to-one, is we're going to look for the low-hanging fruit. What would be really easy to add in? What would be really easy to take away? And let's get that snowball rolling down a hill. Everything I teach, whether it's about nutrition, whether it's about workouts, whether it's about cortisol control, is about the fact that humans are pleasure-seeking creatures. And as we take baby steps, we're not going to say, I feel incredible, let me not do anything else, right? We're going to say, I feel incredible. What else can I do? So we start with the easy ones. We start with the low-hanging fruit. We get momentum. We get the snowball rolling down a hill, and then we can add in more. Let me share you my screen and show you exactly what I'm talking about. On your screen is a copy of what we call our cortisol checklist, and I'm going to move my little face out of the way so we can see it. As you heard me talk about in the intro, this is never all or nothing. What we are never going to do with someone is say, okay, cut out all these things and add in all these things. You might be on good behavior for 2 weeks. Maybe you have more willpower than I do and you stay on it for a month. But major life overhauls they fight against human nature. As humans, we are pleasure-seeking creatures. We are designed to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Too much change at once is pain, is discomfort. It's not safe for our human brains, who are designed for safety. So it's all about finding what are the quick hits, what are the low-hanging fruit, which of these can I add in or take out and get that snowball rolling down a hill. So we like to break this into two categories. One, what can I start to do to reduce cortisol? And then from there, what can I start to take away or reduce? So things like eating breakfast, eating enough calories for your body. This is a huge one in our world. Most menopausal women that we work with, they are not overeating. They are not eating enough, which is driving those cortisol levels higher and higher. Eating the right proportion of carbs, fat, and protein. Protein is a huge one in our menopausal bodies. Weight training, reducing sugar, alcohol, and caffeine. Notice I did not say taking out altogether. Reducing, looking at our bedtime routine, looking at our water intake. Now, again, what we're not going to do is all of these at once. If you're someone who's not used to eating breakfast, maybe that's not a simple one for you. Maybe we don't start there. Maybe we say, you know what, I'm having a glass of wine 5 nights a week. What if I take one night off? What baby step can I take to get a snowball rolling down a hill? So that's our list of what we can start to do to reduce cortisol. Now let's look at what we can start to reduce to lower cortisol. And same conversation. This is not about a major life overhaul. This is about what's the low-hanging fruit for me? What can I start to reduce, to minimally take away? Things like fasting. Again, skipping breakfast. If that's a tough one for you, maybe we don't start there. Under-eating, skipping meals, not enough protein. Over-exercising is a huge one in our world, right? We've been told our whole life, eat less, move more. So when it stops working, what do? We amp up the cardio. We try to do more of that. High levels of sugar intake, too much alcohol, too much caffeine. Again, that bedtime routine, blue light, dehydration goes with what we were just talking about, adding in more water. Not enough carbs. Carbs are our body's natural energy source. And so many of us have grown up in diet culture that tells us carbs make us fat, so we're petrified of them. The reality is it is nearly impossible, and honestly, I'm only putting the word nearly in there to be PC, to lose weight in a menopausal body without carbs. Because if we are not giving our body its natural energy source, those cortisol levels are going sky high. So what we do with all of our members after we've got their symptom grouping handled, when we start to look at cortisol, we're going to go through this checklist together. It's a little bit more beefed out than this, but this is the general idea. And we're going to look for your personal low-hanging fruit. What baby steps can I take? What are the easy ones to start tackling, knowing that as a human being, I'm a pleasure-seeking creature, and as I start to do these, it gets easier and easier. Once we've got your action plan, we can start tackling them. And as you heard me say earlier, these big three, cortisol, inflammation, gut health, they go hand in hand. In tomorrow's email, spoiler alert, I'm going to be back in your email tomorrow talking about inflammation. And one of the things you're going to start to see as we get our cortisol in check, inflammation is going to go down. As our inflammation gets in check, our gut health starts to straighten out. All of these bleed together, okay? Look out for that email from me tomorrow. As always, the best way to tackle these, to get our hands in the dirt together and get to work, is one-to-one. We've been doing this almost 10 years. We've helped over 3,000 menopausal women. We got this on lock, and we know the most effective way to do it is one-to-one, which is why we always invite you to start with that free strategy session. The link to book in is in your email below. It's going to ask you a couple questions, take you straight to our calendar. If you're ready for that, use that link below. Otherwise, look out for that email tomorrow, and we'll dig all into inflammation.